My name is Sharon Nordrum, and I am a member of the Red Lake Band of Ojibwe, and this is my son.
Hi everyone, my name is Andreas Nordrum, and I'm also a Red Laker.
Yeah, so today we were asked to do a cooking demo for you, and thought about it for a bit, and decided that we were going to make a squash, deer meat, wild rice, oven meal. And we decided to do this because Andreas has been gathering wild rice since he was quite young. He kills our deer, and he also grows our squash. So that's what's on the agenda today. So to get started, we're going to, we have a couple of pieces of deer meat here, and I'm just going to cube them. Well, it's not even really cubes. I'm just going to cut them into smaller pieces because I don't know about you guys, but I like tender meat. I don't like to chew my meat a whole lot, and I think it gets tough in that. Watch these cooking shows, and they cook a steak for 15 minutes. I'm like, really? That steak is not done. So I'm going to cube this up and get it into the fry pan and start cooking it before we do the rest of the prep for this meal. So Andreas, why don't you talk to me about your first kill?
So the very first kill, going back a ways.
I know it's been a while.
It has been a while. So actually, Jeff Harper took me out the first time, helping me take down my first deer, and so he took me out in Cass Lake area, and we went up to one of his deer stands that he had, and we sat there for a while. And we're waiting for something to come along, and there come a pretty good sized doe, and so he's like, just take it easy, go slow. She can't hear you. She might be able to pick up your scent because the wind decided to pick up right there. So he's like, don't rush, but also rush at the same time, basically what he said. And so I got my sight all set up on her and took her down. And then the next day I went out, well, that very night I cleaned her out and everything. And then the next day I took some meat over to Bob Jourdain and asked him to help me feast it.
I remember getting the phone call. Well, actually, I didn't get to hear the phone, answer the phone. I was working that day, and I saw that I had messages, so as I was driving home, I listened to my message, and it was Shirley saying that you had gotten your first deer. And I was like, through your whole life being a single mom, it seemed to me that I missed an awful lot of your firsts. So it was just like, wow, my son became a man tonight. Now he can provide for his family.
Yeah. And
so when you feasted the deer, what is that? In Ojibwe, I know that young men are supposed to do that, but...
So the way I was told about the first feast was just the community coming together to recognize the manhood that
the rite of passage.
The rite of passage of the hunter, and celebrating him or her becoming that divider.
Wow. I know it was really, really awesome. We cooked up your deer, we canned it. Oh my gosh. I didn't think we were ever going to finish canning that. What did we have, like 5 canners going?
Yeah.
We had the pressure cooker. It was so hot. We went to the DRM, and it was the only place that was big enough to host all the people that wanted to be there for your feast. And I remember a lot of them saying that they hadn't done that for so long. Had a young man come and want to feast and do that. I'm not used to working on gas, so turn it down just a little bit. So we have the deer meat is now cooking. I have a lid on it, and I am going to do some seasoning. I like to season my meat with a lot of different things. Normally I would use some sumac, but unfortunately I've used up all of my sumac. And so I don't have any of that. Can't wait for it to be ready to go out and get that. So I have, this is choke cherry syrup. I'm horrible at making jellies. I've tried many times to make jellies for us. So we eat a lot of syrup. So we have a lot of pancakes and waffles and French toast at my house because we have to use up all of the berry syrups.
Well, the main part is why you struggle so much trying to make the jelly of it is because you need so much sugar, and
that is
for us we don't like that much sugar.
Yeah, I prefer it tartar, and because we like to gift so much of it, we go out and you go out and harvest. Let's be honest here. You do go out and do all the harvesting of these things, and then I do all the prep work for them. But we like to be able to gift them to the elders in our area.
Right.
And so with diabetes as high as it is, using too much sugar is not good for them. So it ends up being syrup. So I'm just going to take and pour, I'm gonna pour some in this pan. It kind of looks bloody. Trust me, it's gonna taste delicious. So I used about half the jar. You can use choke cherries. Mm-hmm. You could add strawberries. That would be really good.
That would be really
Blueberries. Good. You can also season your meat with like I said, the sumac, or you can use maple syrup and season it with maple syrup.
Remember the last time we cooked with the deer meat, we used the turkey, or the back fin of the turkey, the mushroom?
The chicken in the woods.
The chicken in the woods.
You'll have to excuse my son. He has a real hard time remembering words. So sometimes it's like, I feel like a fisherman trying to bring in that big fish, trying to figure out what it is.
What do you think I feel like trying to find words?
So while our deer meat is cooking, I cut the squash. I normally cut the other way, when it's like, it's a puzzle.
How'd you cut it?
How did I cut? Oh, there it is. Normally I would cut it this way and make the bowls, but this one here, it reminded me of these kind of bowls, and I'm like, I'm going to cut it that way instead. So you grow squash. You didn't grow these squash.
No, I didn't grow these squash,
But-
but we have grown the squash.
So, squash. We just looked this up. Squash in Ojibwe is Okanakosemina.
Similar.
As you can tell, we're not fluent. We try.
Very hard.
But we're just not fluent. So, why did you decide to grow squash?
You wanted it.
I've wanted a lot of things and you haven't done it, so.
No, actually, it was a while back. We got some seeds and hold on one second.
Maybe that paper towel's over there.
So a while back, we got some seeds in, and one of them was squash. And we're like, oh, we wonder if we can get these to grow. Because at first, when we started trying to do gardens, we had black thumbs. Instead of the green thumbs, we had the black thumbs. So things would fail. And
Can't be good at everything.
I want to try. So we decided to try to grow squash, and basically I was crossing my fingers and throwing out good thoughts in the world, like, please grow, please go, please go. And they did. Holy smokes. Those squash, they were huge.
They were monstrous.
They were bigger than this game.
We had squash. We had enough squash to give to all the elders that we knew, plus canned squash and eat
Remember
squash.
that the one vine. So so say this is the backyard, and over here is our barn, and our garden was right in here. And the one vine, it literally grew way heck on over here, and all along through it was nothing but squash.
It was
It
beautiful.
was
beautiful.
crazy.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So I have my squash cut, and I need to get the wild rice going. I'm eyeballing it, people. It's 3 cups of water.
It's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice.
I thought it was 3 cups of water to 1
It's
cup.
2.
Oh, great. I got too much water. I had to pour out a cup. I think he keeps changing it on me. So, Minomen. That one I can say, people. So, the Minomen. Talk to me about the Minomen, Andreas.
So the Minomen is actually a lot of fun, people. I don't think you guys realize how much fun this plant is. So he grows he can grow around the edges of the lakes. He can grow in the like little creeks and stuff like that, or rivers. And in the fall time, this is when he comes up, when he's fully grown. He'll spread out, and you want to find those really rich purple colors. It's actually not really a purple color. It's kind of a mix between 3 colors: purple, blue, and a little tint of red. I mean a dark red. And that's what you're looking for. And it just flows down like so. But what's so fascinating about this plant is that when he falls, he literally swims down and he buries himself. Because of the water moving back and forth, it helps him bury himself into the ground so that he can help grow new stock for the future. And years back,
I think you were like 9 years old the first time we went out.
it was a very long time ago. And it was Take Kid Ricing. That was started up by Jeff Harper, Levi Brown, and Shirley, and who else was in charge of that?
I don't know. I didn't go.
Anyways, I think those were the main people. I might be forgetting somebody, so I apologize if I forgot somebody. That was a very long time ago. So they decided to take Kid out ricing, and I had been going every year since I was 9. I'm 29 now, so that tells you how long it's been. And I had been going out ever since we started that up, and now 20 years later, I help take the kids out ricing. So the student became the teacher, basically. And then I also go out ricing on my own.
I bought him a rice boat for his 25th birthday.
25th birthday.
So it's a flat bottom because he usually does this on his own. So he has to pull and knock by himself. And it was just too hard. And to do that in a canoe, I think the first year you tipped yourself twice.
Yep.
Lost all the rice.
Yep.
And so it was like, okay, we're going to fix this, and we're going to get a flat bottom boat. So actually, we had a special one made. It's a fiberglass.
Yeah.
It's a one of a kind. Each one has their own fingerprint, and it's been good to you.
Yes, it has.
He doesn't tip anymore.
Not as badly.
But so we have the rice cooking. The meat is cooking. While he was talking about the squash, I took and I put some brown sugar and a little bit of butter in the bowls. They didn't cut them exactly even, people, but I think you get the gist of what we're doing. When I do this recipe, it changes every time I cook. I am not a professional cook by any means of the word. I just like to put together good food for my family. And so each time I make it, it's made a little bit different. And you could take and add different things to it. I have added apple. I've added raisins, like we talked about earlier, the strawberries, the blueberries. You could add nuts to it.
Mm-hmm. That's really good, people. Try it.
Walnuts, pecans, or almonds, slivers of almonds in it is really good because the wild rice already has a nutty taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a river rice that we're using today, and so it has a little bit of different taste than the lake rice. And so yeah, if you added walnuts or almonds to it, it would just enhance that nutty flavor. Wow, it is really warm in here.
It's very warm in here.
So I'm going to shut off my meat, and I'm just waiting for my rice to cook. So with wild rice, we live in one of the biggest areas for wild rice. Well, actually, we're over here on White Earth, and you guys don't have quite as much rice, do you, as we do over in Leech Lake? Red Lake has like patty rice. People, do not go to the store and buy that black patty rice. It's awful. It takes forever to cook.
Takes forever for the
like you
cook
need to
and-
soak it overnight and then cook it for 3-4 hours to get something that's palatable. So please look at what you're buying. Buy if you can.
And don't believe the labels.
Yeah.
You can't believe the labels.
Make sure, if you're going to buy wild rice, why don't you support one of our native harvesters and buy locally harvested wild rice from a Shinab. Just, don't go to a store and do it. Just do that. Go on Facebook and ask who's got wild rice. Not now, but come, September, start asking and buy your wild rice. Even if you think that it's a little bit more expensive than the store, it's well worth it. I will gladly, if he doesn't go out, I will gladly pay for the actual stuff.
Yeah.
So if you can, with everything, try and as much as you can, buy local, buy from your people that are actually doing this. My gosh. What else are we going to talk about?
I don't know. We could talk about the weather.
That part's going to get edited out. Rebecca's like, I'm making a note of that one. So I remember you coming back from Take a Kid ricing, and I just remembered that you were younger than 9 because you were horrible. Shirley said that she wasn't sure she was ever going to take you again to anything.
Yeah.
Because you were so awful. But that is when you met Johnny Mitchell.
Yes, it is.
So you were 7. You were 7 years.
My horrible times.
You were 7 years old, and Shirley comes home, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "He was just terrible." And Johnny Mitchell said, "Bring me that boy." And she's like, "You're not gonna want him." And he's like, "Bring me that boy." And he took you and took you off someplace. And when you came home, you were like totally different. And you know why? It was Johnny Mitchell taught you how to make a sema.
Mm-hmm.
He took you out and he got you the red willow, and he taught you that. So actually your first time going out ricing wasn't really about the rice. It was about making the asema, and it totally changed you. You became this quiet, at peace. It was like your life was missing something, and he knew what it was.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately never got to meet Johnny, but you told me all about him. And your life has been really, really kind of blessed, Andreas, because you've had so many elders that have taught you so much. You had Guy Green. I got my hand on choke cherry syrup. I was thinking about maple syrup. Guy Green that taught you about maple syrup. Let's go back to wild rice. Tell me about going out to Gawaden's.
So, Guy Whedon, he is a very good old friend of mine and Shirley. It really was
I guess
actually
he's not a friend of mine.
He's a friend of Mom's too. It was actually not wild ricing. It was actually setting out a net for.
We went out there to do wild rice though. We were going to use his old machinery to thrash.
Oh, that's right. It was both of them.
Yeah, we were going to do both.
So we were doing both. So Guiwaden needed help setting net, and I needed help thrashing my rice because I had a lot on my hands. And I needed some machines, and Guiwaden, he had a ton of old tools that he made up him and his son made years back. And so it was kind of like a trade. He was setting the net and then come back and he helped me with the rides. So before we went out on his boat and we were setting the net and we were coming back, and as we were coming in, I got myself up to the front so that I can hang on to the pole. I grabbed the pole, and I went to start stepping out, and I literally, my legs went like this, the boat's going this way, my one leg going like this, and as I'm falling, I'm like, you and splash, went in the water, and I came out completely soaking wet.
All the while they're off having fun.
And when it's getting wet, it's being fun.
Shirley and I can't remember who else was there. Shirley and I were trying to figure out this wild rice equipment without burning.
Abby was there.
Oh, Abby. Without burning the rice. And yeah, they come home and it was just crazy. I think that's done.
I would say something.
Yeah, because it's going to go into the oven for just a little bit. Whew, hot. All right, so, well, Andreas was telling you that funny story about splashing in the water with Gawain, and Gawain is like, what did you fall in for? Also concerned. So I took and I put my deer meat in here, and I'm going to take and put my wild rice on top, because my bowls are not even. This person's on a diet. And then.
Oh, you're trying so hard not to laugh.
Stop now. I lost my train of thought. Happens to me a lot. Oh, I was going to say, now that I have these in the bowls with a little bit of brown sugar down on the bottom to kind of sweeten the squash. And then the deer meat has the choke cherry syrup on it. The wild rice. I do not cook with a whole lot of salt. Andreas doesn't believe in salt. He feels that salt is what killed his grandparents too young. I happen to like salt, so the salt sits off to the side, and I salt everything when I eat it. So, but when I'm making things and demoing things, I don't salt the food. So you will need to salt and pepper this the way, to your liking. I was going to say, the other thing that you could do to spice this up just a little bit, if you go out in the springtime and you get fresh leeks, you could add leeks to it. I don't think the weather's been quite right for morels this year. We've been so dry, but now we've had some moisture and we've had heat. So they might, I don't know. Shirley is the morel expert. Like I said, they go off, they harvest, I cook. So you could take and you could put morels in there. You could put fresh leeks in there. You could, if you're doing this earlier in the springtime, you could go and get the tops off the ferns, the fiddleheads. You could put that in there. Cattail shoots. We're beyond that point now too. We should have did this in earlier May. Then you could have had all those different types of wild harvested foods. Mm-hmm. They're all local.
They're very local.
You just have to go out and harvest them. But people, one of the things I want to stress is if you are going out and you are harvesting, only take what you need. My mom has a saying, take what you need, leave some for seed. So much of the time people, they keep going back to an area and they over harvest. And you just can't do that, because then you'll lose it. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to go out every year and get some leeks. This year, I think we only got a handful of them because sugaring was so off this year. Normally, the last day of sugaring, you guys come home with a whole bunch of leeks, and I'm able to even freeze some.
Yeah.
But this year, maple syrup, the sugar bush was all done by like the first week of April, rather than on your birthday, April 20th. So yeah, just don't overharvest.
Yeah.
Don't overharvest anything. Make sure that there's plenty. We want enough for the next 7 generations. But here's our meal. What we'll do is we'll take and we'll put that in our casserole. Set it in there, put the lid on it, put it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. You're going to want to poke the squash because that's the only thing that's going to need to be fully cooked is the squash. Everything else has been cooked. Make sure you put a lid on it so that you don't lose the moisture out of the meat and the wild rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's our dish today, people. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you liked our stories. And we'll see you next time around the butcher block.
The hunter slings his rifle and puts tobacco down, and he drops the deer with a single round, and he lays his hand upon the dead body now. Says my spirit and my stomach will be filled as I eat